Hi everyone. So now we have some understanding of the NumPy library, the basic of Python in the pandas. We'll start with our data analysis part, and the first step of any data analysis exercise, you have to load the data into the memory into the Python to do any data analysis, right? So in this video, we are going to see how we can load the data into the Python. What are the various ways? I will try to cover as much as possible. So let's start. So we'll first start importing our main important libraries, the NumPys, SNP, and the Pandas as BD. Next, we are trying to load the CSV file. So CSV files stand for comma separated vectors, which in the file everything is separated by the commas. And to do that, there is a function, inbuilt function in the pandas, pd is pandas dot read CSV. This is already there in my local. That's why the path is this file. But if the file is available in different directory or in different location, then you have to put the full path. So let's first read the file. So what we have here, we have the five columns and three rows, right? And as you can see in the file, I have not in the parameters, I have not mentioned what to do with the header, right? Header is something which is the top of the first row. So in this case, the Python has automatically detected like ABCD is the header, 0, 1, 2, the index is auto-generated and the value was assigned against the each header which was there in the file. Now let's say there is no file, no headers available, and this is example 2 file. So in this case, the header is none. So let me try to remove this for a second and run this. So what happened here? The first row, and again the Python do it, it automatically assume if you are not providing the arguments that the first row itself is the header, right? And if we tell the Python like this is the first header, the first row is not the header is none, header is not available, then the Python automatically again generates the header like 0 to 4 and index again it's auto generated and it will show the result like this. What you can also do, you can assign your names. Name is nothing but the columns as what you want, right? A, B, C, D, and the messages. And in this case, I'm using the example 2 again, which does not include the header. I'm explicitly trying to convey to the Python, please add A, B, C, D message as the new headers. Let's move these headers into the names variable. And in this case, what I'm doing, I'm just doing the same thing here, adding the names. And additionally, I'm telling Python the index column will be the message. So don't auto-generate the index, use the message as the index. So let's see. So what it did, the message, the index has been created, right? And these are all the previous columns. What if there is the hierarchical index? Hierarchical index means you have a first level and there is a second level. So let's see what is the example of this. So in this, what I'm trying to say to Python, the index column, make the index key 1 and key 2 as a combination. So if you are aware of the, in the SQL, we have a composite key, right? You make combine these two can make a primary key. So very similar to in the hierarchical index, make the index 1 and so let me show you what uh, this looks like without this operation, right? So we can write pd read CSV and the example 3, right? So in this case, we have a key 1, key 2, and value 1, value 2 as the column. And what I'm trying to say, to pandas, make this key 1 and key 2 as the index, right? So as you can see, is 1 grouped into one index, then it has sub index A, B, C, D. Again, 2 has the second index and again grouped to A to T. So we can also read the TXT file. And let's say if there is a TXT file and it is separated by the spaces, means instead of comma there are spaces, you can provide the additional argument called SCP separated by slash space plus, right? Like this, and your values will be again read. It can be read by the pandas. What happened there is in most of the files there are some headers or some string just to give you the detail what this data set is going to do, what is data set is all about. So if you want to skip those rows, you can do that using this skip rows. You can definitely tell pandas don't read 0, 2, and 3 rows, and you can read the others. What happens if there is NAs in the data? And this will be the most of the cases if when you read the data in the example 6 CSV file. So as you can see, this cell and this cell, there is NAs. But here's the trick, whether these two are NAs or not. So in this case, yeah, true, this value is NA, this value is NA, but there is a catch here. This value is absent, and the absent value is again it been treated as the NA. There are few options whether you which you can use, like NA values keep it null, right? So in this case, again we have added NAs and null, and default values if you are making it false means if something is does not exist, keep it as it is, right? So make the NAs as NA, right? But if does not exist, don't make it NA, right? Keep as the value not available, kind of like blank. So if I try to again run the isNA function on this, as you can see, instead the value is not available, though it is saying false, means it's treated the blank as not a NA. There are let's say there's a big file, millions of rows, and you want to see the few rows, you want to load first few rows, you can use n rows and provide the how many rows you want to see. And also if let's say the file is really big and you want to process that file in chunks, there is a parameter available, argument chunk size, means it will read the files in chunks of 100, and you can perform operation on that. So in this case, what I'm doing, I'm just calculating the keys, what are the keys available and what the value count, putting those into the series. So looping on these chunkers, chunker is nothing but the chunk size of 100, right? And getting the chunky this column, doing the value count and filling the value to 0 if it not available, right? And putting into total, and total I'm just appending to this, right? I'm adding whatever coming and adding to the total and sorting that value. So let's see what is the because I've sorted in the descending order, the E has been the biggest, like it has the count highest count, followed by X, L, O, Q, M, J. We can also write back to the files. So in this case, let's say you have you want to export data into the CSV. What you can do, you can let's first read this data, right? And you want to export this out as a different file. So you can use a to underscore CSV function to export the data into the CSV, right? And let's say if you want to see what the value is being exported, you can use sys.sys out. It will show you in the terminal like what are the values being exporting. For this is separator just to make sure we are instead of we can use anything, right? Double separator also. Oh, yeah, let's do. And the next one is the yeah. So what I was trying to show previously is if there is a NA, how do you want to deal with that? How if you want to export to the NA, you can use some values here, right? Like XX, that will be updated by access. Also, uh, there is a CSV library available. You can open the file as an F and it will read the files into the CSV reader is used to read the files in the lines. And whatever I'm to do, the first column will be the header and all the remaining will be the values, right? The header is 1, values is 2. And you can also convert this into the dictionary using the dictionary comprehension in case we are doing the for loop on KV. We are zipping the header. Header is nothing but ABC and the values. It is creating the tuple of same combination 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, and that's what the keys will be stored in the keys and the values will be stored in this tuple. JSON data, very important. It is the one of the standard way of importing or exporting data or using the data into the HTTP applications, right? And it looks like something like this, very similar to dictionary, right? So the object I'm trying to create an object, the JSON data, this is the name, the city live, pet, sibling names, right? And as you can see, the each name here, all the keys here are the string in the JSON format. So that's the one differentiate between the dictionary. And to load the JSON data into the Python, you have to use the JSON library. You can import it, and JSON.load is used to load the data, and if you want to export, JSON.dump is used to export data. So we are just putting that object obj object here and getting the result, right? Looks very similar to the dictionary, correct? Now we are trying to convert back to JSON. So you can use JSON.dump result and it being converted to the same what was earlier. Next is if you want to you can convert this into the data frame by passing it. So in this case, I'm just passing on the sibling string. So from result, sibling this one, and only getting the names and age, right? You can, if you just put like result sibling, you can put like this. Also, there's pandas also have read JSON function, so you can just read the data directly using the pandas as well. If you don't want to use the JSON.loads, right? XML and HTML. So XML is the another very heavily used format to transfer data. If you don't already have, please try to install this XML beautiful SOAP and HTML5 libraries. I've already done that. Now to read the HTML. So let's say you have a HTML bank.html which is contains the all the failures happened. It is some data set available. You can get into the from the site from the internet. So I read using the pandas.read HTML in the tables, and it has one variable only, right? And let's put that the first in the failure. And if you want to see what sinks include, so these are the bank, these are city, state, certificate, acquiring bank, closing date, updating date. And if you want to see whole data set, this is 547 rows and the 7 columns. And let's try to convert this closing date into the date time, right? So what I'm doing here is using the toDate function from pandas, getting this failure closing date column, right, and assigning it to the close timestamp. And in the next line, I'm just trying to in the close timestamp give me the date, only the year, and do the value count for each year. It's going to do the value count. So what are the values available for in 2016? Just count it, right? So this is it. 2016 has the 5 values. If you want to work with the XML, you can use the XML library. And the same thing, there's one data set available on the XML. And the past is just name. Past means loading the data only. We are using the Objectify method to pass this to load this data. And this is what the data looks like. So what we have done, we are converting into the list, which includes the dictionary. And you can see how the data looks like. It's a one data set with multiple columns. Similarly, you can use MS Excel to load the data. If you have data in the MS Excel, you can use you need to install the Open PyExcel library, and you can use the pandas.excel file to get the data. So there are three sheets available if you want to load the data. XML.parse sheet name, and this is the data set available. And you can also use pd.readxml, and it gives the same result set because we are using the same file, right? APIs. APIs is a vast topic, and I will just cover the very basic here. So how you can get the data if some application they have the APIs. APIs are nothing but the application programming interface. Means if some application they offer the API, they allow you to read the data, right? Get the data and put the data in their website. You can do that. So Python has a lot of functionality over it. So you can use the request library. You can pip install a request, and to get the URL. So we what we are doing, we are getting the all the pandas issues, like top 30 last top 30 issues from the pandas repository from the GitHub, and putting that URL and using the request dot get URLs. This is okay. This is the response, right? And if response is 200, right? So this means it's okay. We got the data, and it's most of the data in the transaction between over the web is JSON or XML. We are putting converting into JSON. So this is what the data looks like. It has 30 different dictionaries, right? Let's extract the first one, the first title. You can extract the first data. This is what the first data looks like. And these you can see these are the keys and these are the values here. Comment, event, IDs, right? So we were extracting we want to see what the title looks like. So this is the title. And you can convert this into the data frame by passing directly the data into the PD data frame. Actually, these are the issues, top 30 issues in the pandas library. You can also load data directly from the database to do the analysis. Like for this, do you have to use the SQLite, right? That is one way. There is other libraries also. What we are doing, we are first creating one test table, right? And creating the 4 columns here, checking the connection, executing that query. Okay, let's make test one because test is already there, right? And execute the query and committing it. So let's put some data, right? And insert into test one now, values, executing this statement. So insert into test one values. These are the values for values, right? Committing. And if you try to read the data, you can use cursor, don't execute. Fetch all is the function which will execute, which will get you all the rows. So these are again all the rows, whatever we imported, right? You can also check the description. Description, nothing, if there are metadata of about this particular cursor, it will be available here. In this case, only the ABCD is available, and you can put that into the columns name. So these are the columns, and we are putting those rows into the data frame. So that's how you can connect with the database. So the idea here is how to load the data from different file types into the Python, right? We have seen using the CSVs. We have also seen how to load the data from text format, the JSON files, right? The XML and HTMLs, the read from the MS Excel, how to load the data from APIs, use the request library, right? And also how to load the data from the databases. So in the next video, we'll start getting importing data and seeing how to handle the data integrity, if there is how to handle the messy data, the unknown values or missing values. Thank you.